There could be a laptop out there that was stolen from me. There could be that I was hacked. It could be that it was Russian intelligence. It could be that it was stolen from me. Not one serious journalist has ever come to the conclusion that I did anything wrong or that my father did anything wrong.
Thank you. I guess you get asked, I don't guess, you get asked the question, are you on drugs? You use drugs.
I probably smoked more Parmesan cheese than anyone. I mean,
I'm proud of my son.
Congressman, thank you so much for being on the program. Deeply appreciate it and deeply appreciate your work. We want to jump in here, and we've obviously been talking through with the audience why Eric Schwerin communicating with you and your committee is so incredibly important. Perhaps you can underlie for us and undergird for us how big of a flip this is for the Biden crime family.
Well, this is enormous because if you'll remember the emails, the one that stands out in my mind is where Sherwin emails Hunter Biden and says, your dad's Delaware tax refund is come in the mail. I'm going to deposit it into his account and then turn around and write a check from him to you for some of the money that he owes you. That shows several things. It shows that Sherwin was handling Joe Biden's finances, and this is at a time when Joe Biden was vice president of the United States. So he's writing checks, transferring money back and forth between Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. This is very important because one question we have is, were these accounts commingled? I think I know the answer to that, but we're going to make sure that we can provide 100% evidence on everything that we say, because this is a very serious investigation, as you know. And also, it's going to kind of get a picture of how the Biden family, how their business schemes worked. How did they work together? Because at the end of the day, this is an investigation of Joe Biden. And Sherwin is the one guy that we know, without a shadow of a doubt, was in charge of bank accounts for both Joe Biden and Hunter Biden.
So what will be the line of questioning?
Well, it's just basically we're going to give him an opportunity to tell us kind of how this thing was set up. There are 13 different accounts that we know of. And every one of those accounts had bank violations. So that's another request that we should be getting in very soon, hopefully, through the private banks, not through the Treasury Department, unfortunately. But we want to kind of trace the money. And that's what this is all about. We know the Bidens got enormous sums of money from our adversaries in China, Russia, and Ukraine. We need to know the specific place where these transfers started. And for what purpose? Why did Hunter Biden receive millions of dollars from China, from a company, CEFC, that was connected to the Chinese Communist Party? What exactly was he doing in return for that? Because I don't think China would give money to Hunter Biden or donate significant sums to the University of Pennsylvania or the University of Delaware for Joe Biden if they weren't getting something in return.
Yes. Yes. So Hunter Biden isn't giving you anything in return. Hunter Biden is stonewalling your committee. What tactics will you take in order to get a canary to sing?
Well, they're treading a thin line here. Their lawyers are reaching out to people, trying, in my opinion, to intimidate witnesses. We're moving forward. We've been very transparent. I don't think there's anyone in the media who's really sincerely keeping up with this, who doesn't know where we're going and what we're requesting. I mean, we want to follow the money. We know different areas where the Bidens receive significant sums of money coming out of China, Russia, and Ukraine. We want to know the purpose of that money. What were they doing for that money? The Democrats love to throw in Jared Kushner, and they always say, well, what are you doing about investigating Kushner? Here's what I know about Kushner. Two things. Number one, he has sat down for many, many interviews. He has sat down. He has already been interviewed on all this stuff. And number two, I know what Kushner's businesses are. He owns real estate. He's like the Trump family, got a very diversified portfolio, real estate, lots of employees. What's the Biden business? They don't own anything. They don't sell anything. They don't manufacture anything. They're not licensed to be lobbyists or foreign agents. So what exactly is the Biden family business? They've received millions and millions of dollars. What did they do in return for that money? I mean, this isn't a complicated investigation, but the areas that are complicated is the fact that there are so many different bank accounts at so many different banks with so many different partners. It was always like they tried to bring somebody in the beginning to share the blame in case or to take the fall. So what we're doing is bringing in all these people that at various different times were involved as partners with the Bidens. And don't forget, it's not just Hunter Biden. It's also Jim Biden. And ironically, with Jim Biden, he has a lot of pending lawsuits to where his partners have filed suit against him for fraud and for various different things. So, this family has a history of influence peddling, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
So what I think a lot of the viewers want to know is, what are the intersections of Joe Biden with this? Everyone is sort of like looks at Hunter Biden as the crackhead who was kicked out of the Navy and who clearly has a duplicitous record, is a truly dirty, dirty man, and obviously a total scumbag. And so it would just be, going after a total scumbag. That's fine. He probably does belong in jail, but what about Joe, right? And that's what a lot of people are going to ask. That's a lot of the questions that people are going to ask.
And that's why we're investigating. We're not investigating Hunter Biden. We're investigating Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And, you've seen the emails with the CEFC where Hunter Biden said 10% for the big guy. We've had two people that have come in and talked to us while we were in the minority that were involved in various different Biden business schemes that said, in fact, Joe Biden was the big guy. Now, let's think about this deal where Joe Biden was supposedly the big guy. There's evidence where Hunter Biden was trying to get keys made for that House of Sweden office complex for Joe Biden, because he was going to be, and Jill Biden, ironically, and Jim Biden. So 3 keys for Joe Biden, Jill Biden, and Jim Biden, who were going to be, a part of this Chinese energy deal. And what they were trying to do is not just buy liquefied natural gas from the United States. They were trying to actually buy ownership into the drillers so that China could start buying into the infrastructure of our American energy company. There are supposed to be so many roadblocks in our federal government to prevent China from doing this. Remember, people are outraged that China flew a balloon over the United States, balloon over one of my military bases, Fort Campbell in Kentucky. They're outraged that they're buying farmland. Well, just think about this. The Bidens were trying to help China buy ownership into the infrastructure of our American energy industry. That's a far greater risk to our national security than buying farmland in the Dakotas or flying the balloon over the military bases, because they probably got satellites that can do a better job than the balloon did. So the Bidens have been involved with helping this Chinese energy company do things that the federal government's supposed to have roadblocks and barriers to prevent from doing. And now this company, where is this company now? At least one of their executives was indicted, Patrick Ho, in the United States for bribery in Africa. We believe the Chinese Communist Party has detained 1 or 2 of the other partners. And now the Chinese Communist Party owns this business, CEFC, that the Bidens were involved in, that Joe Biden was supposed to be the big guy and have 10%.
It boggles the mind, because what Joe Biden is, in effect, is everything that they claim Donald Trump was.
That's
and
right.
The corruptions and the angles and the allegations are everything they accused Donald Trump of being, and he never was. And so after years of investigation, they weren't able to turn up even a unpaid parking ticket for Donald Trump. And here we go with this on its face. We would like to bring you back. We have one clip to play of your press conference, which happened the day after the GOP took the majority in the House, and you came out with a barn burner. But there is part of that barn burner that we've always been curious about. We'll play the clip now. It has to do with sex trafficking.
The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality, from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. In the 118th Congress, this committee will evaluate the status of Joe Biden's relationship with his family's foreign partners and whether he is a president who is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars and influence. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, and that's where the committee will focus in this next Congress.
Human trafficking. Please expound.
Yeah. The reason I mentioned that is because I wanted the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, who's supposedly investigating Hunter Biden, I wanted them to know that I know about all that, because at the time, reports were coming out that he was about to be indicted. Hunter Biden was about to be indicted for tax evasion, which we all know about, and then lying on a gun application. Well, if you're going to indict Hunter Biden, indict him for all the things that he can be indicted over. And one of the things that he has problems with these bank violations. Now, remember, I have some of the bank violations. We're just trying to get all the bank violations, and the bank violations that I have in possession were turned over by various different people. If you get a suspicious activity report, you may be named in a suspicious activity report because someone else got a suspicious activity report. The entity that Hunter Biden was doing business with for prostitutes, supposedly, was being investigated for human trafficking. They were getting bank violations, much like the what's the guy that committed suicide?
Epstein?
That had Prince Andrew and all those guys. What's his name?
Jeffrey Epstein?
Epstein. It was something, it's coming out now with some of these lawsuits that Epstein got a lot of these suspicious activity reports because he was being suspected of human trafficking as well. Wow. Being suspected of doing escort services and things like that. So there was an escort service, I believe in Florida, that Hunter Biden was doing a lot of business with. He was actually transferring money, it looks like, from his law firm account. He has a law firm of one of himself to this escort service. And according to the suspicious activity report, they were being investigated for having an escort service, which is illegal in Florida, and for human trafficking. So he had several violations for that. And one of the text messages that Hunter's communicating with another one of his former associates was asking him how to make certain transactions without getting zinged for the suspicious activity reports. I believe that what he was talking about was doing business with this escort service in Florida. So that's not a part of my investigation, but I just wanted the Department of Justice to know. We know all about Hunter Biden, and that's your job. That's the Department of Justice's job. If they're going to have equal justice, if they're not going to do like we suspect, have a two-tier system of justice, I wanted them to know that we know that. But remember, at that press conference, right after that, I pivoted back and said, but this is an investigation of Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. my fear was they were going to indict Hunter Biden and say, well, he's under investigation by the DOJ, so you can't have access to any of the information on Hunter Biden because we're investigating him for lying on a gun application. I mean, give me a break. If you're going to indict him for all the things that any other American would have already been indicted for.
Congressman, you've been very, very generous with your time. Those are shocking revelations, by the way, that the Epstein connection. Of course, there's going to.
Well, there's no Epstein connection with Hunter, but it just looks like the similar kind of thing.
Similar kind of thing, yeah. I mean, but of course, it always comes. The rat's nest is so intermingled. It's sickening. We did have a final question for you, and it is pursuant our relationship with Don Jr. and Eric Trump, and those two had to go in. They got dragged in before committee after committee after committee. Adam Schiff, January 6th. Steve Bannon has criminal referrals for refusing to testify before or cooperate with a committee. Everyone wants to see asses in seats and sweating under the lights, and the American people to actually watch the members of this crime family get grilled. Will that happen over the course of the next 2 years? Will you be using January 6th committee tactics, I suppose? I kind of a dirty word, but like They want to throw Steve Bannon in jail for not cooperating, right? And they're this close to doing it. So, I mean, are you going to be using those type of hardline tactics to get asses in seats, to get questions in front of the American people?
Yes, the January 6th committee set a lot of new precedents for congressional investigation. They filmed deposition. They moved for Congress to hold people in contempt of Congress. So these are tools in the toolbox that I will use in this investigation. I assume Jim Jordan will use in his investigation of the Department of Justice in their question or not, whether they've been weaponized and politicized. So we will use that. But what we are getting right now is cooperation from private individuals who did business with the Bidens. These people are starting to come in. I've got another person coming in next week that was a central figure in this Biden family influence peddling, very central figure who's willingly, voluntarily coming in to talk to me and my staff. So we're making progress. I'll get those bank records, even though the Treasury Department, the Biden administration has blocked us at every turn. We planned on this happening. I was just mainly want the media to see that they're blocking the chairman of the House Oversight Committee from getting bank violations, which every other administration in the last 2 decades has allowed the chairman of the House Oversight Committee to have access to. But for whatever reason, Joe Biden's blocking that access. So we're just giving them rope and letting them hang themselves. Remember, after that press conference that you showed the clip of earlier, that was in November, a lot of the media, including the Associated Press and Bloomberg, said that the laptop was Russian disinformation. That was just a few months ago. Now we know, we had the first Twitter hearing, if for no other reason to prove that the laptop was not Russian disinformation. The Twitter executives who made the decision to ban the New York Post story about the laptop all said that was a mistake, and they knew that the laptop was real. So that was a very important first hearing for us, because so much of the evidence against Joe Biden is located on the hard drive of the laptop. So we're making progress. When we get these people coming in, we're going to start doing interviews. We're going to start doing depositions. We'll get these bank records. We're going to start tracing the money. And then hopefully very soon we'll be ready to start having hearings that I think every American will find very interesting.
Congressman, I wish you could see what we can see in the studio. We have the chat box up with all the chats from all of the concurrent social media. The viewership is shooting through the roof. Everyone is praising you and saying, what a great, well, how great is it to have someone with some iron in their spine and some gunpowder in their gut actually in Congress doing something for us. Everyone is melting down, saying how much they appreciate you. What is the best way for our audience to help you out, sir, in your investigations?
Just keep us informed on what's going on. They're firing on me, the White House, every day. They've got a special team now led by a little guy named Ian Sams, who has a press conference every day, attacks me, attacks my credibility. But he's not attacked anything that I've said as being not factual. They tried to play the Russian disinformation card back in November. Then in January, they've tried to play Hunter was a drug addict. They're just picking on him because he had an addiction problem. Now they're going full scale on the offensive. They're attacking anyone that we're going to bring in. They're threatening anyone that we've requested information for. So this is a full on war against the White House just to get the facts. And remember, the Trump people went and they came forward. They answered all the questions. They were interviews. They were deposed, the majority of them. And what we got is this president who told the American people that he had no knowledge of his son's shady business dealings and he wasn't involved in anything. Look, this president's been involved in a lot. This whole thing in Ukraine this week made me sick at my stomach because this Burisma deal stinks to high heaven. And I believe the real quid pro quo with Ukraine was with Joe Biden firing that prosecutor who was investigating Burisma and the corrupt energy company. So this investigation is not going to go away for the Bidens. I think they realize that, and that's why they've changed strategy, and they're firing on us at every turn. Just keep us posted. Hopefully people in America are talking about this, and if there are people that they interact with at work, they'll tell them, look, this is legitimate. This needs to be investigated, and hopefully the White House will finally work with us and give us answers to questions that we all have.
Christ says the truth shall set you free. It is important to have truth. So everyone, ladies and gentlemen, pray for our Bulldog investigators, James Comer and Jim Jordan. Follow them on their social media, amplify their messages, and make sure that we got their backs because they got ours in Congress, fighting a war, a true war for the soul of this nation. Thank you so much, Congressman, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Our channel is here to meme the libs until they cry and then to meme them crying. Their tears, they taste just like sweet, delicious ice cream. Salty, too. We ridicule the establishment and the libs because of you. Your support keeps us going. So if you like what you saw, please punch the subscribe button, click like, and ring the little bell so that you know when we're live. Don't you want to know when we're live? And make sure that you subscribe to our email list just in case the plug gets pulled, as tends to happen. If you want to see more of our videos, click here or here. My name is Benny Johnson. Stay free, Base Patriots.